for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Good evening, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Today is Wednesday, March 29th, and we've got a great show tonight. Tonight, Reuben Langdon is back with us. And tonight I wanted to talk about E.T. and consciousness and his experiences and his research. He has been a part of this community for many, many years. But he's also a stuntman. That's right. He's an actor, filmmaker. He's a video game star. And yes, you've seen his work in Pirates of the Caribbean, Power Rangers series, and the highest grossing film of all time, Avatar, where he was a stunt double for Jake Sully's Alien Avatar. And also, for me, it's Dante. That's right, Dante. In the Devil May Cry franchise, I played all 5 video games and all 5 versions of that. I think there was 5. Maybe there was a 6th. And I've talked to Reuben about that many times on the show. We won't be jumping into Devil May Cry tonight, but we're going to be talking about everything else. And also, well, I'm going to save my opening salvo. I was just going to make a comment, but I'll keep that for a surprise for Reuben Langdon. There he is. Reuben Langdon, welcome. See, I told everybody. He has a great collection of knitted hats, and
yeah, I got a few. Yeah, I got a few here. But we decided to go with this one today. Good to see you, Jimmy.
It's great to see you. And listen, I have been looking for a great clip-on, because I want, where do you get your clip-ons?
Handmade. No, it's there. It's just a mess right now. Dude, it's still snowing here in Big Bear. Can you believe it?
I know.
It's crazy.
I was driving. It is so cold here in Palmdale, and here's the weird thing that most people don't realize. Yes, they've got. I think the last. What did I read? Snow Summit's got like 75 feet of snow right now. Right, it's like an insane amount of snow, but most people don't understand. From Big Bear, this is the trippy thing. You can ski in that 75 feet of snow and drive off the backside of the mountain and in like 10 minutes roll right into the Mojave Desert. It's like right there. And then you hang a left turn and you hit my house. And it's such a strange thing to do because you're on those switchbacks, right, on the back half of the mountain from Big Bear.
Yeah, I'm right there on the edge.
And you see the ice, you see the snow, and you're looking at that on your left, and you look to the right, and it's the desert, man. It's the Muroc salt dry lake bed. It's surreal to.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's a pretty surreal going on those hikes and. Can't wait till the weather warms up so I can get back out and reconnect with some really nice hikes around here.
Yeah, it's great up there. It's
for the views. Yeah,
I remember once, and this is people really need to listen to what I'm saying. I leave Big Bear, snow, ice, cold, freezing, gloves, scarf, hat, big down jacket. Right, I'm in the car, and I'm like, man, I got to get gas. Come off the mountain, I pull out, I guess 80 degrees. I got my gloves on. I'm just like, what? You look at the mountain, you're like, that just doesn't make any sense. But that's the best part.
We're 6,000 feet, 6,500 feet. So that'll do it, I guess.
It's such a weird thing. And that's why we live here in California. You get all of that. And
totally.
keep driving, you go surfing. And we joke about that here, but you can literally do all of that in the same day. You can build a snowman in the morning and, go hang 10 in the afternoon. It's crazy. So anyway, I want to get straight to it tonight. Very excited to have you back on the show. And this is where I'm going to start. It's the 10th anniversary of the citizens hearing. Does
almost.
it? Yeah,
almost next month. Yeah, we're almost there.
Next month. Does it feel like it doesn't? Wow. I mean, 10 years has passed.
It flew by. I can't believe how fast it flew by. But it's we're now in a post-disclosure world, essentially. If you think about it.
100%. And when tell everybody, because I could sit here and prop you up, but tell you were the producer behind that event. Tell everybody about it and how exciting those days were.
Yeah, well, I would say I'm a lot more educated now on the subject than I was back then. I was very naive. If you'd asked me to do it again, I don't know if I would. That was, I think my naiveness was the catalyst for me to continue to do it, because I had no idea what kind of a challenge it was going to be. I thought, just do this event, have the media cover it, and we get disclosure, easy peasy. Right?
That's here's the thing with what you just said. Then we're going to get back to it. I really, it's such a great story. It's an amazing journey. But the new people that are here, and I love it that they are, because of, say, TTSA or 2017 or Lou Elizondo, right? And so they're all, they're here. Oh, this is going to be great, man. Disclosure, and it's going to happen tomorrow. This is what it's all about. This is going to be easy. It's going to be easy. This is nothing. Look what's going on, and here we are now in 2023, almost 6 years after that New York Times bombshell. And here we are, and everybody thought it was just going to, happen in a couple of days. It didn't.
I don't think it is. I mean, you're talking about just how it's not so cut and dry. It's not such a clear subject, and depending who you talk to, everybody's got a different opinion on what it is and who's going to disclose and how it's supposed to happen. And it's just the water's still way too muddy for it to happen in a like overnight way. Like the way it's happening now is just people are sort of getting whatever version of disclosure that they need by following whoever, everybody's got their camps. And, and it's happening, and it's a very not so coherent, but semi-coherent kind of way. Obviously Fade to Black has a huge, hand in that, and all your guests, but it's interesting. We're definitely further than we were 10 years ago, but it's still, the water is maybe even more muddy now than it was before. I don't know.
So, when you think about it, the citizens hearing lined up the not only the most important, but well-spoken, and certainly some of the when we talk about experiencers or witnesses, the best of the best. You've got lights, camera, action. Right, you've got the right location. You've got a streaming platform. You've got a documentary film crew. Right, everything is in place. The press are invited. There was a lot of action behind it. It was just a huge event. Everybody just sitting on the edge of their seats, like I was. It was just huge. And at that time, did you have any idea that it would turn out to be, especially historically speaking, as important as it turned out to be?
Well, know you appreciate it and I appreciate it. And then, the several thousand people that saw it appreciate it and all it's done for the moving the topic through the masses. But when you really look at the actual numbers, because, for years we were keeping it behind a paywall because we had an investor that we had promised to pay back the investment, and we tried to get deals with different distribution companies. Nobody wanted it. Nobody could get it out. We couldn't get it out there. And finally, sort of at our last resort, after we had exhausted everything, we were like, let's go to YouTube. And we had to get, we got permission from Thomas Clearwater, the investor. And he said, yeah, guys, you guys have definitely tried every avenue. And so and that was the big thing. It was like, everybody's like, this is because this is not for free. That's hurting the subject matter. This needs to be free. This needs to be free. And I get it. Trust me, I wish it could have been free earlier too, but we had contractual obligations to our investor. So luckily, years later, we got through it all. It's finally out. It's out there for free. I'm sure it's got to be shadow banned because, probably the most hits on any of those episodes that we have is about 20,000. That's what you do in a night. Mm-hmm, and it's been out for a year on YouTube for free with 20,000 views per episode, if that, like 10,000 on some of the others. So unless YouTube's algorithms are off or something like that, but it just, so you say that, and that's why I don't know if it has really had that much of an impact.
And now, why? I mean,
that's what's so strange.
You're right about the community. The community was there for sure. But the other part about it is the media. And if the citizens' hearing went off today, I'd imagine it would be a totally different situation. It wouldn't be that kind of party that the media would be there and would support it.
Yeah, I think today would be definitely a different situation, because of all the everything that we're getting now from the mainstream coverage with Lou and Gary Nolan and all the guys are on the making the news rounds. So for sure, it would probably do better. But I don't know. It's just it's funny because it's out there. It's it's public record, right? It's out for the masses to view and to get educated. And there hasn't been a single media reference to it, mainstream media, from the usual suspects. I consider you and your audience way more mainstream than those other guys, than the CABs and the embassy, those guys. So they haven't touched it. They haven't. I got recognition. Lou actually called, I think the last time I was on your show, or maybe it was 2 times before, actually called and was congratulating and talking about the citizen here, which was awesome that he would give it props. But the mainstream media has not said a thing about it. So that's also kind of like, that's kind of, you have this, still to date, the largest collective body of evidence ever put together in one setting. It was a 5-day, 32 hours worth of testimony, 5-day event, 8 hours a day, plus additional panels in the evening, held at the National Press Club, and 6 former members of Congress. So you would think with all the stuff today, even just a little mention, oh, by the way, yeah, this thing happened. It was this epic event, cost a lot of money. So I don't know. There's something we've tried. Myself and my other partner tried really hard to get it out there, but it's been one of those strange mysteries that may go down in history as part of the paranormal craziness.
Yeah, absolutely. The journey after that, when you say, and it pains me to have to agree with you, but it's not the UFO subject, the contact subject, extraterrestrial life visiting this planet. That subject is one of the most multi-layered, complex, that involves so many different people and organizations that you just can't focus on one thing, because when you open that up, it leads you somewhere else. And it is just one of the most insane things to try to figure out. And you didn't have any idea about that back then, did you?
No, I mean, at the during the production of the Citizen hearing, I was just dipping my toe in. You know, I was very much focused on evidence-based, hardcore things that tangible things that you can sort of look at, as far as like the Roswell and other major events that had documentation or some sort of paper trail or evidence left behind. So the consciousness aspect it did interest me, because I did start to see, especially when you started talking about and getting to subjects like the hybrids, you really start to like have to go deep and let go of some of the physical, tangible stuff, because you have all these people talking about their experiences, and that body of evidence for sure is well weighted, but there's no tangible stuff behind it. And they're talking extremely out there, like hybrids and being brought aboard ships and all this stuff. So then you kind of have to start dipping your toe into consciousness and what is that. And that's after the hearings, that's where eventually I started going, and that's how I got into my show. But
did you find that strange when the obvious thing is, ships made of materials that are crossing, the vastness of space with somebody on board, with a, whatever, and flying across, and that seems simple, right? That's the way we are doing it here on this planet. We get that. But then you find yourself going in other directions, into the stuff that, the tinfoil hat may need to be worn. And that is, interdimensional, a consciousness aspect. And maybe some of these ships aren't something as physical as what we would normally think about first. When you start going down those roads, what goes through your mind? Do you become the crazy person that you read about and hear about?
Well, you're already kind of just by dipping your toe into the evidence-based stuff, you're already kind of crazy, especially at that time. The past 10 years, that definitely people have sort of massaged their fixed projections of if you believe in UFOs. So you can sort of safely say you believe in UFOs now and not wear the tinfoil hat. But back then, so I was already kind of had one foot in that camp, in that world. So I was already getting the strange look. So I was like, okay, let's go deeper. This is now no longer, who cares what everybody else says? I need to go deeper for my own personal understanding of the phenomenon. And all signs point towards, consciousness or quantum physics or, this unseen world of science and spirituality. There lies the answers to make sense of it all, right? There's no other modality that kind of makes it make sense unless you start going deeper into those worlds. And I think all of your guests and all of the researchers, that's just where they go. You can be so hard focused on the physical stuff, but you're definitely going to hit a wall.
With Jacques Vallée's books, not only the early stuff, but his continuing research and suggestions that it might not be what you think, right? And he kept throwing that out there. He was relentless, and he still is. But for a lot of us, which includes me, it's like, man, what's he going on about? Is that no? They're ships with rivets made of titanium. I was like, no, it has to be this. But there have been many researchers, Jacques is a great example of that have been trying to open that door for us for a very long time, right?
Yeah, he definitely was one of the first in sort of the more evidence-based physical researcher camp that really started presenting ideas. I remember going to one of his talks at the IONS, Edgar Mitchell's research, the IONS Institute, and Jacques was giving a speech, and he was talking. I think the name of the speech was something about sisters, the little sister. Somebody out there will know, but it was in one of his books. He just talked about how these strange things of strange synchronicities would happen when like a book would fall off the shelf and open up and fall open to a specific page, and then he'd be guided to a specific paragraph, and he reads it, and it's like very relevant to whatever he was dealing with at that time, and just the odds of that happening were so, just not there were no odds, and he so there's this like unseen phenomenon that has control over things like a book falling open, that there's some intelligence there. It was what he was presenting, and I just remember hearing that in those days and being like, yeah, totally, that's where we got to go. That's where this exploration and the research needs to go, and stop cutting it off and saying, oh, well, that's all hocus pocus. Is it? Have you looked down that path? Have you gone down that rabbit hole?
How would we or anyone even know? You can't qualify that kind of statement, because there's just no way of knowing, unless you've been to Zeta Reticuli and visited a planet and see how they do it. Unless you have that kind of input, you can't say yes or no to any of these ideas. We or going down the path of shamanism and sort of the spiritual consciousness channeling, these types of modalities that have existed for thousands of years on our planet, but many people just sort of cut them off as oh, that's all woo. They're actually more connected to the phenomenon, through my research, through the ET phenomenon, and then we give credit to them. They're not all the same, but there are definitely aspects and bleed throughs where perhaps a Zeta Reticuli can appear and show itself as a owl totem or something like that. There's these things in our zeitgeist, and many researchers have gone down these paths of connecting the dots with the ancient ways and to the strange Zeta Reticuli showing up and taking you in the ship or whatever it is. Well, Tom DeLonge, when he was on Fade to Black, and it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about Tom, or what the preconceived views of Tom are, that doesn't matter to me. But he made one statement that still, it just echoes in my mind. I still hear him saying it. He said, it was one of the most intelligent things ever, certainly for him, he said, you got to be careful about what you're going to call in with your mind. You got to be real careful when you're consciously connecting to something that you see in the sky, because you don't know what you're connecting with or what their agenda is. So just be careful. Don't make. And so what he was saying was, and I'm not paraphrasing, that there is a very deep and real conscious connection between us and them. We don't know who them necessarily is and what the agenda is, but we can and do this. There is a conscious connection, isn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, that's Greer's work is probably, some of the best in that, making that connection, with his CE5 protocols. I've done them over and over. I know you've been on some CE5 adventures, and there is a clear connection to, our intention and sort of our wanting to make a connection, and the invitation and the light show we get afterward. And sometimes that light show goes way beyond a light show in some of the C5 circles that I've been in the past couple of years. It's many of us get the light show, but many people have in that, say in their dreams that night, contact experiences where they're on the ships. And then you have in the group, you have multiple people who describe very similar contact experiences. So they didn't dream share until we were all in the circle the next morning. So those types of phenomenons are happening, and contact experiences are happening, which again just solidifies this conscious connection, you know. And even if it's all so-called made up in their head, there's still a collective made up in the head experience that's happening that you can't deny, that you have to acknowledge that there's a shared experience being had visually and, you know, in the dream state.
Now, I have had many, I'm not certainly the only one, but I have had both. I have had the daytime physical, metallic, crazy ass craft in the sky, right? I've had that. And I've also had the CE5 light show. I've had that too as well. And because it's at night, you can't necessarily see if it's anything physical, but a lot of these craft are glowing. So it also makes you wonder that, you know, that this is something that may just be pure energy based. And right. then the third part of that is, and I've done this many, many times, not once, many times, where we've done the CE5 at night, you know, and everybody's got the lasers, right? And they're pointing the laser, and you see a glowing craft, and then the laser bounces off of it. And it's something that you think, wow, you know, that's an energy ball, energy source. But then when a laser bounces off of it, that catches. So that's like a combination of both. Yep. So is it that? And you've done the same thing. So is it that it's just not the same beings from the same planet, you know, that this is a variety of stuff that is visiting us, and maybe only seeing us once, maybe only visiting us once and moving on and going somewhere else. And we're just getting a variety here.
Absolutely. I think that's what it is through the work of my show and through all the different civilizations and types of beings and interactions. That does seem, and we can see the different types of craft and the phenomenon and how it shows up. And sometimes the laser bounces off, sometimes the laser goes straight through. You know, there's so many different ways that it shows up. I've had on the ground experiences of lights just, you know, being in the trees or just, a few feet away. Looks like, you know, magical fairy dust. You know, what is that? You know, is it that? It's clearly not a ship in the traditional sense.
Can I stop you right there?
Sure.
Tell me about it. I haven't had that experience. What happened? If it's happened more than once, then give us the one.
I'll give you the latest one. We were doing a C5 group out at Joshua Tree, and doing the meditation and, you know, the usual look in the stars, and nothing really significant, I think, that popped out. We had finished the meditation, and one of the members of the group was walking up to we were kind of sitting next to a mountain or a hillside. And one of the members was walking in that direction. So he heard something. I think he may have slipped or said something. And then so the whole group kind of looked that direction. And right at that moment, a whole, almost like my neon green light here, just went across, like it was almost like fireworks in it, I can say, but no sound. And it just went, you know, across. I added sound because, you know, for dramatic effect. But it was It was just no sound. And everybody saw it. We were like, whoa, what was that? It looked like literally like a fairy had just peppered some magical fairy dust on the side of the mountain. And it happened pretty instantaneously, but clearly everybody had that. We all had the same experience, and we all were trying to talk about it afterward. Like, what could have it been? Like, what does that? And this, again, with no sound, but you had this specifically this color of green. It was like a neon green type of, fairy dust. That's all I can say. I wish I could describe it better. But so that kind of thing. And then I've been in other, where there's lights in the woods and off in the distance, like an orangish sort of glowing thing that glows and then it goes away. But the fairy dust thing was more recent and everybody saw it. So that was kind of confirmation that we made contact with something. I don't know. Other people described different beings and stuff in the morning. But I kind of want to go back to Tom DeLonge's quote.
Sure.
And, I know he said that, but through my practices and through the, working with shamanic energies and shamanic practitioners, you really, and especially when we do the C5, you set the intention. And as a group, we always sort of do a little prayer or meditation to clear any unwanted energy or sort of negative energy or heavy energy that might not be in the best evolution and light for all. So, as we get into those types of habits, I think you don't really need to worry about, I'm sending my consciousness out, because you're doing it with good intention. And as Bashar says, what you put out is what you get back. So as long as you're putting out, as long as you're not in fear, and oftentimes that is a deterrent of having a good group CE5 experience. Many times I've been in CE5s where nothing happens. We do the meditation, nobody sees anything, and then everybody starts to go to bed or people go home, and those who stay a little bit later will then get a little bit of a light show, that are not afraid, that are excited, for the contact experience and don't get afraid. So, and what I've sort of been told and investigate and understand is that, the ones that, if you have someone in the group that is afraid, the ones that you want to meet aren't going to show up, because they don't want to create a fear in the experience. This is about open contact and making contact. Mm-hmm. It's not about being scared out of your pants or creating more trauma that will, push disclosure down the road even more. Because right now, I think the main reason we don't have full disclosure and open contact is because humanity still has so many traumas to work through. And until we can do that, yeah.
What is the deal with location? Does location matter when you do a CE5?
I think ultimately no, but I think there are advantages to being in certain locations. Clearly, you want to have a clear night, a clear view of the sky. But I tend to seek out locations that are known grid lines or ley lines. And how you find that is many energy sensitive people. I'm not one, so I usually tag along with the energy sensitive person. I'm like, okay, you're going to be my radar, but you can literally learn how to dowse. That's one way to sort of find ley lines with the dowsing rods. But many sensitive people and indigenous people who've done sacred ceremony in these locations. They do them for a reason, and the sacred ceremonies actually amplify the energy. So absolutely, if you like going and doing a C5 down at Giant Rock, I've had lots of success there, as opposed to being somewhere else in Big Bear or something like that.
Let me jump in. Is that you?
Oh, what's that? Hello.
I just hear this hum. It started last night too as well, but it's not in here. right?
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything on my side.
Wow, it's weird. You don't hear that?
I don't not,
Just
but
weird.
I'm not live.
It's weird. It's weird. It was last, dude. I think it's the movie Contact, man.
I think
it's the movie Contact. So back in, I'm gonna say it was around September.
Mm-hmm.
I go to Joshua Tree with a group of friends. It's Billy Carson, Elizabeth, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think five other friends for a private sky watch, and we stay at the retreat center. Okay,
okay.
They're really nice now, man. They've done that.
I'm going there Saturday. A friend of mine, his
so nice. Yeah, we did the whole thing, man. It was kind of weird being back because I haven't been back since the old days of Contact. But anyway, so up at the bungalows where Orion's Lookout is, it's got a really nice fire pit set up there now with these nice wooden, really nice Mediterranean vibe, right? Mm-hmm. So we're out there, got the night vision, got everything on, and I think that was Friday night. Zippo. Nothing, right? The next night, we go over to Giant Rock. 5 miles, right? Whatever it is, it's just it's the same sky. It's 5-10 miles tops, right? It's just right there. Go over to Giant Rock, 200 in 60 minutes. Like crazy, just jumping off nuts, zigzagging light show going on in the sky. And I'm like, we were just right. And it was nuts. Same place, same location. Giant Rock is special. So yeah, I would say that location. But then again, Joshua Tree on many nights is a pretty special place for a sighting, and usually very low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joshua Tree is great. The energy overall in the park, but over by Giant Rock, one you have the Rock, which is a sort of a sacred, renowned antenna of objects with lots of history. And then you have I don't know, have you ever been on one of Eric's tours for the big crystal mound that's just around the corner from Giant Rock?
No, I don't know who Eric is, but
Eric, he knows everything about the Integratron. He does the story. He does was it math? Somebody will find it later. I'll remember it later.
But I've been to the Crystal Mound.
Oh, Sonic Geometry. Eric, I'm banging Sonic Geometry. Anyways, there's an awesome crystal rock. He does a tour of just around the corner from the actual rock. Crystal Mound.
We were out there. This was about 10 years ago, and we were in 29 Palms. So we're 19 miles from Joshua Tree, right? We're in 29 Palms and out in the middle of the desert. I'm going to make this really quick, but this is how amazing it is. Because when people go, it could be anything in the sky. Well, how about the opposite? Let's go the opposite. We're standing on this patio. We had rented this bungalow out in the middle of the desert. There's nothing around us. It's just desert. And I'm standing, and somebody says, and we had a big stack of pizzas, and we're just having a good time. And it's about 10 o'clock at night. And Steve Murillo is standing next to me. Alex Mistretta was there, and about 10 of us. And somebody says, it wasn't me, wouldn't it be cool if we saw a UFO? All right. Now, at that moment, from the desert floor, this white glowing ball goes just straight up into the stars. It lasted about a second. It wasn't 2 seconds. It might have been a half a second. Not a streak, no flames, no sparks, no smoke, no nothing. A white ball. and it was maybe, it seemed like a couple of 100 yards away. You know, it was very close.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day I get up and we're all, what? So the next day I get up and I'm like, okay. And I walk out, got my coffee, and I go out on the pad. I'm like, well, where was, and to my amazement, I was expecting something. There was nothing out there. There was no houses, no road. It was just brush to the foothills. And I kind of took a little bit of a walk out there, maybe 50 yards. I just took a look at, there's nothing there. It's just no buildings, no roads. It's just desert. And that was from the desert floor to the stars. Yeah. Yeah. Now, when you say, is there a conscious connection? Hey, man, wouldn't it be cool if we saw a UFO?
Yeah. I mean, those happen so many times. You just can't, of course. Yeah. There's this, and if you doubt it, go out yourself and do this, and, do it 10 times. And then if you have, 1 out of 10 experiences, then do it another 10, and then another 10. It's an odds game at this point. I mean, I go out and do CE5s once a month, every new moon, not in the colder months now, but starting to next month. And everybody has an experience at some point, whether it's an internal one or an external one. It's nice when we all get the external validation. That's great. But the veil is so thin now. They're coming and going, they're popping in and out, and people are waking up and getting activated. It's awesome.
Well, here's the thing. I need to warn people, and I try to do this as often as I can. You're more than welcome to go out with us, right? I want to see my first ship. Okay, all right. But you need to be prepared on how to deal with it, because it's kind of fun in the moment. But you do have a paradigm shift, man. You mean this is real? Well, yeah. And then you have to deal with it for the next couple of days and weeks, and processing it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, those days are so like back, so long ago. You're bringing me back memory lane. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess there is some processing that. A lot of the ones I've been going on is I've been a lot of people who have already experiencers. Those are the fun ones, because you get you go much deeper with the messages and with the contact experiences, because again, fear is the mind killer, so to say, right? So having fear actually inhibits your ability to make contact. And I actually open for a lot of my, when I do the C5s, I do guided breath work in the beginning to really get to neutralize and get people out of a fight or flight state and get in a more just harmonious, natural, relaxed state. And then that's when you're in that state, then and with the right intention, obviously, you don't, you want to just put it out there that I want contact, be very specific. I want contact with beings of love and light, and, they can be physical or drive tin cans, but as long as they have the best intentions, so as long as you do that, yeah, it's and you go deeper and deeper every time.
I do the opposite. I crank Van Halen.
Okay.
I use all of my worst jokes. Pastrami sandwiches. This is not a vegan night. No. Okay. No. I go the opposite of all of that, but it's about the intention, right? Putting everybody in a good mood. Let's be happy and let's enjoy each other's company. And I've done the real CE5. I've ruined CE5s, actually. Okay. Everybody's sitting around doing their meditation, and we got some alien music playing, in the background, some kind of sitar, whatever. And
some bowls.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Got the bowls going, and somebody. Okay, so let's breathe and let's invite our alien brothers and sisters. And I'll come out with a bag of Doritos. So what's going on, man?
All right, we're gonna corner you off when we're on the boat.
I've had people go,
We'll lock you in your room.
Yeah. Shut
Take
up.
away your Doritos.
It just, but anyway, I kid, not really.
No, but it's ultimately it is about having fun, and that's what it should be about. I mean, exploration of consciousness. It's having fun and joking around, and you can take it serious because there is some serious learning you can do, I guess, through some of the tools that these beings give you. But ultimately, yeah, it should be a party. We should be celebrating and having a good time.
And here's let me ask you this. That is crazy to me.
What? I missed.
It's like the movie Contact. You don't hear that.
Oh, no, I'm not hearing it. Sorry.
Man, and dude, my room is but quiet. But wow. Okay, it's just weird. Whatever it is, it's
record on a separate track and then like play it back.
It is absolutely weird. It started last night. I'm telling you, man, it's the movie Contact. You remember when they're recording that and the meters are jumping up and down, and it's
the creepy sound.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's exactly what it is. If you're expecting something, no, I'm asking the wrong way. When something appears, it always catches you by surprise, doesn't it?
Totally.
Yeah, it's never like you don't get a warning shot, right? It's always a surprise.
Yeah, and that's I think I use this analogy all the time. I first saw it. I don't know how true it is, but I first saw it in I think it was What the Bleep Do We Know? Right? Remember that movie?
That was a good movie.
They did.
I liked What the Bleep Do We Know?
Yeah. It still holds up today. There's sections of it on the internet. And there was this one section I always look up because it's the first thing that comes up. How the Indians, the local Indians at the time, the Native Americans at the time, couldn't even see the ships. Like the ships were there, but because they didn't have the awareness of what foreigner ships look like, so it wasn't even visible. And it wasn't until the shaman of the town, the medicine man, right, could astral travel and kind of understand and sort of bring back some sort of language about what the ship was, and then tell the tribe, hey, there's ships out there and there's people aboard them, right? So, and it was like 6 or 7 days later they finally recognized it. That may be an urban legend, who knows, but that idea is, I think, what we're dealing with, where I think these craft are there all the time, and it's just us getting to that frequency, that vibration, that state of being where we're doing our meditations or just in the right vibe, eating Doritos and having fun, whatever it is, to get us into that place where then boom, they're there, and it's like, oh, maybe they were always there. We're just harmonized at the right moment so we could actually have that physical experience.
The first time I watched somebody, and I used to think that this was, I'm going to use a bad word. Can I use a bad word? I used to think it was such bullshit. The laser flash thing, right? And I would listen. I was like, man,
you mean when they power up?
Yeah. So, and I'm out with a group of people, and this guy that was standing next to me, he had a night vision monocular, right? And he was just really funny all night long. Anyway, so he, for a couple hours, he's next to me, and he could spot stuff, and there was just like some low flying things. Anyway, so he goes, that one is a flasher. That's how he would say it, flasher, right? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, laser. I go, no, come on, man. And he goes, okay, just watch it. And he takes the laser and he goes, boop, boop. Dude, on cue. Bloop, bloop. This thing, damn, what? No way. I'm not buying. Give me that thing. Bloop, 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 bloop. Oh, what? And now look, I know how crazy this sounds to somebody that hasn't experienced it. but it is something that is real. And I agree with you. They're up there all the time. You know, that guy is sitting there, right? He's just sitting there. And if you've got the right intention, I think it's like sending out a beacon. You know, your intention, your consciousness is lighting up, and he sees the good intention zone, and then the flash comes and he flashes back. I know it sounds crazy, but it happens.
Well, when you go into all the consciousness experiments, they even, like, you know, mentioning Edgar Mitchell and ions, they've done Dean Radin. He's done so many,
Right.
you know, Heart Math Institute, you know, Dr. Joe Dispenza, like all of these guys have just been killing it with their experiments, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that you know, spooky action at a distance, Einstein's, you know, theory of, you know, interconnectedness,
Entanglement.
yeah,
Entanglement. Dean Radin said something to me once that, dude, he's so insanely smart, right? He's intimidating. He's that smart. Nice guy, great guy,
Sure.
funny guy too. He's actually got a sense of humor, but he is really smart.
Mhm.
And he said to me, and he goes, well, you know, when it comes to things like, you know, people want to see what, you know, telekinesis or this or moving objects or this or that, you know, it's got to be this over the top. That's not how it happens.
Right.
He says you are changing something very slightly in the quantum world. And when you change enough of those, they add up to something. But that's where it occurs. Subconsciously, you're interacting with something. And in the quantum world, you're causing an atom, a particle, to vibrate a certain way. Something you can see outright with your eyes. And then it accumulates, you know, enough of those particles, and then boom, you know, something pushes off of a table, or something is connected across the universe, or another mind is connected. But it's not some massive thing up front that you can quantify and measure and observe. It's happening at the quantum level on our end, isn't it?
That's what the research sort of points to, yeah, and the experience. So when you add up the two, you kind of have a recipe for a whole new world view paradigm. You know, you gotta. The problem, I think, with most of humanity is we just haven't presented that paradigm en masse, right? You're doing a great job here, but the masses seem to be more interested now than ever about this sort of new world paradigm. But you know, these experiments have been going way back to the 50s and 60s, 40s. You know, Tesla, his work. It's just I think it's about mass, critical mass, and once we get that, then we'll all be seeing the ships.
Now, and you had said this at the beginning of the show, that especially with the consciousness side of things, that we don't get it and we don't understand that right now. But ET certainly does. That appears to be the case. If ET shows up here and tells us that consciousness is the way, and that's the only way that we deal with things in every aspect of our lives and our world, are we equipped to even understand what they would have learned and what they easily understand? Would we have that capability of understanding?
I think so. I mean, I think it's already happening. There's many contactees and psychics and experiencers, and you know, the people on your show and my show that channelers that are doing that. They're sort of bridging they're playing that role as bridgers to new concepts and ideas about you know, worldviews, operating systems, things that will help us deal with traumas and prepare for a more global contact experience or a global disclosure. So I think it's already happening, and the more we can lean into that, the spiritual communities, and doing our own spiritual work, and not looking for someone to save us, but, you know, looking for someone to perhaps show us and give us the tools so we can save ourselves, then the more we do that on the individual basis, eventually it adds up to a collective energy that can hold the field. So when they actually can physically come here and be with us, there's no distortion in the sense. I think what's happened in the past and what's talked about through many of the channelings is we have the legends of the Greek gods and, you know, these all powerful beings that sort of had they weren't like the all loving God. There was like, they were like drama, right? You know, Zeus and Athena and you know, the whole gamut of them. So powerful tales, but they said that at least through my interviews and talks with the ETs that I interact with, they said that distortion happened because we weren't ready as a species back then, and we sort of gave away our power. We didn't see them as sisters and brothers and comrades that can help us. We put too much faith in that they would save us, kind of thing, and then that's
why is it? Before we get to the break, let me get that question in. Why is it that so many? You don't have to believe in ET, right? But they will make that statement. If ET is real, then why doesn't he help us? Why doesn't he show up and cure cancer and get rid of pollution? You know, why is that always the statement that comes first?
Because everybody wants a savior. Nobody wants to do the heavy lifting by themselves. And I think that's the that's the number one main reason why we don't have full disclosure, full contact. I mean, we obviously have contact on a smaller scale, but the whole world, if you look at, you can just go on the internet and see the worldview right now of humanity is everyone's looking for a savior. They're looking for the government to save them. They're looking for their whatever religion they believe in to save them. They're looking for this politician to save them. Like it's all everybody's looking to be saved, but who's actually doing the work themselves? And the ones who are doing the work themselves, they're not on the internet talking about it. That's the problem. So I think that, again, we're getting there. People are figuring it out. They're figuring out that the government's not going to save them. And they're figuring out that maybe eventually, you know, to thrive, we have to take personal responsibility for our actions and our communities and our families. And I think that's the main energy that's needed for us to have disclosure and contact.
There was a Russian movie. Hold on for a second. I'm gonna get the exact title. It's let me see here.
There's a lot of us in there.
Hold on.
You're running out of us.
Well, I am going to. I just want to get the name of. Oh, okay. So the movie is called "It's Tough to Be a God." Okay, and it's Russian. But that's not the point. The point is, we send a crew of scientists to this planet that's got life on it. Okay, all right, civilization. Mm-hmm. So we send scientists there, but we know that they're not developed yet like us. They're not interplanetary. They're not flying. They don't have cars yet. They don't have phones. They don't have electricity. Okay? They're like in the Middle Ages. Mm-hmm. You dig what I'm saying? That's where they are. Okay, sure, in the revolution. Okay. So we send a team of scientists out there, and we lose contact with the scientists. We send a second expedition to find those scientists and bring them home. the lead scientist starts to be revered as a god. Okay. Mm-hmm. But everybody there is happy being kind of stupid. Like, it's fun to them, and it's in the movie. It's fun to play in the mud, mm-hmm. right? Adults making mud, right? And they just don't want to advanced technical. They don't want, no. They're happy being doofuses and being clowns and just goofing off and just like playing all day long as adults, right? And so he couldn't get them to like want to go to school, want to learn to read, or want to do any of these things. And that's, so we lose as Earthlings, we lost interest. There's nothing, nothing. E.T. would look at our planet the very same way.
Quite possibly, yeah.
You know what I mean? We totally would be the most backwards, to them, where we're still fighting amongst ourselves, right? We're still
and every time they do materialize in our atmosphere, we send fighter jets after them and try to shoot at them. That
shooting missiles, man. Yeah,
right. We're shooting missiles at their ships, right? Supposedly,
right.
So it's just like, yeah, they're gonna hang out until we figure it out ourselves, before they come down. And so that I think answers that question, going back to, why don't they just come and save us? If someone was treating you like that, if they were not doing their homework, if you gave them homework to do and you gave them little tidbits on how to advance their civilization, but they're just, they're using what you gave them to make, bombs and kill each other, then they're probably gonna like wait it out. Like, okay, they're not ready. Let's wait till the kids.
Let's give that a few thousand years.
Right. Exactly.
It's not next week. They're a long ways off. Exactly. They've got some issues. They need a lot of therapy. So let them
lots of therapy right now. But the good news is, though, we don't have to wait for collective disclosure on an individual basis. I'm having experiences with my teams when I go out every month. So, and the people I'm interacting with nightly are being taken on ships and having experiences and stuff. I don't have the memories quite that's happening to me. I know I know stuff's happening. I can just look around me and sort of pay attention to the synchronicities, but, tons of first timers this past year would come with us on our CE5s, and people who were kind of on the fence, maybe they didn't believe, they actually had an experience and, oh my God, this was great. So the good news is we don't have to wait. Right now we're in the individual discovery phase, and it's awesome. So embrace it.
Let's take a break.
Sure.
I've got to get that in. So let's get the break going. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. I guess not Reuben Langdon. We're talking about consciousness.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Please visit all of our sponsors. We're taking a quick break here. All of the links are below. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, it's Billy Carson, also known as Forbidden Knowledge. I want to talk to you about a very special event coming up July 30th, 2023, the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We're going to honor people who have been contributing to the conscious community for decades. People that you know and love that have helped you get to higher levels of thought and consciousness and awareness. It's going to be a live in-person event, but seats are going to sell out very fast. You want to make sure you're there in person, and guess what? You can help vote for the winners. Voting is available on forbiddenknowledge.com, and the categories are going to be social media influencer, podcast/radio host, TV host, actor, director, producer, entrepreneurs, health and wellness, philanthropists, authors, field researchers, archaeologists, space anomaly hunters, and of course, a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'll be your keynote speaker that night at the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We have celebrity guests performing. We'll have a halftime show where we're actually going to perform music for you. And don't forget about the pre-event mixer, where if you buy a box seat, you'll be in the VIP section, and you also have private access to a VIP mixer with celebrity guests. Shake hands, break bread, network, and then walk the red carpet with us and take amazing photos. It's going to be a night to remember. You don't want to forget this. Make sure you hurry up and get your tickets because they're selling out very fast. I want to see you there. Forbidden Conscious Awards 2023.
On Saturday, April 1st, that's right, April Fool's Day 2023, I will be hosting the Parapod Festival at the Hyatt Regency right here in Valencia, California. It's a live one-day podcast awards. It's a film festival. It's a full-on media event. We're going to have sky watching. There's going to be a Lifetime Achievement Award presented to Linda Moulton Howe. Right now, you can submit your podcast, your film, your TV series, any of your paranormal media for consideration. You can do all of that on the links below. For info and tickets, go to parapodfilmfest.com. That's parapodfilmfest.com. April 7th through the 14th, 2023, I'll be hosting and presenting on the Hidden Secrets Seminar at Sea Cruise. From Los Angeles to the Mexican Riviera on the Navigator of the Seas. That's right, up top, a giant water slide. You've got to check out the Navigator of the Seas. It's amazing. We've got Scott Walter, Adam Apollo, Nick Pope, Brad Olson, Vivian Chauvet, Jason Shirka, Robert Grant, Reuben Langdon, and another 12 amazing speakers and presenters. It's all simple to do. Just visit divinetravels.com/Hidden Secrets 2023. You know you want to go on a cruise with me. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right. Welcome back. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon. Reuben, I've got the Parapod Festival this weekend. I'll be hosting that. And so for everybody, the links are below. And if you're in or around Los Angeles, you want to come in, hang out with us. We're doing Ghost Hunt and Sky Watch on Friday night in Mentryville, a ghost town. And then the award ceremony will be going on, and speakers will be presenting too, all day Saturday in Valencia at the Hyatt Regency there. So, but then the week after that, which is coming up, man, I can't believe it, in about a week, a little over a week, you and I are going on a cruise, man. And I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for plugging it there. Never been on a cruise. You know, we were talking the other day how for you too, right? I mean, and to this capacity. So I think it's going to be exciting. I was talking to Susan, who's, you know, putting the thing together, about doing some CE5s out on the deck there. So hopefully you can come and join us with your Doritos and
There's a 24-hour taco bar right next to where we're going to do this E5s. So yeah, it's going to be I'm bringing all of my gear, and I am so excited to be out in the middle of the ocean and having that kind of unobstructed view of the night sky. It's just going to be great. We're going to have an amazing time. And Reuben is on one of my panels too as well. And the links for the cruise, I know it's next week. If you haven't booked it, I don't even know if it's possible now, but
I think they might be full, but you know, they might have some last minute cancellations.
Yeah, I heard the same thing, that it is sold out, but there may be some last minute cancellations. So stay on top of it. But it's going to be an amazing time. It's a great ship. And we're going to be hitting 3 ports, and just the best part about it for me, which I think everybody's going to go through the same experience. It's a big ship. You can go and do lots of things, but we have the entire conference center to ourselves for 7 days, and you can't escape. You can't. You are there to pursue knowledge, and it's like 7 days of college, right? It's just a crash course, and we're gonna have an amazing time. I'm really looking forward to it, and that water slide.
I'm excited. Adam's going to be there too. So because to talk about wanting to pick somebody's brain, this guy, he's got so much information.
The best thing about Adam Apollo is just having a conversation with him. I've done so many things with him over the years, events and stuff, but getting Adam. You and Adam are a lot alike, by the way. You're both very intellectual, but you've got these great minds that are wide open, and you guys absorb and share that knowledge. And if you get a chance to just sit down with Adam, have a dinner, and just talk, it's one of the most enlightening things that you can do. I wouldn't mind the three of us having dinner, so I can just let you go, and I can sit and listen. And as a matter of fact, let's make that a date. You, Adam, and I will
cosmic threesome.
Yeah, we'll go off together. No, I'm being very serious.
No, totally. It sounds like fun.
I'll get that set up. Now, back to ET and consciousness. You brought up Einstein and entanglement. Now, I've talked to quite a few physicists about this, and I have suggested to them that if we can have quantum computing run with a qubit that is entangled with something in another parallel dimension, and if we accept that, and we do, that's how quantum computers work. Right. If that's the case, then how can it not be that telepathy, any type of mind communication, isn't entanglement, where the particles in our brain are entangled with somebody else's brain? And their argument coming back, Reuben, is no, it's too much information. It's only one particle at a time. No. And I'm like, what? Entangle your entire brain. They want to just I'm just editing right now. It should be out in a couple weeks. I've got 3 interviews. It's 3 different interviews but around the subject of AI. And I interviewed an AI and the creators of this AI that used basically what everybody is thinking of ChatGPT right now, but a modified version. It was OpenAI before Microsoft bought it and had it sort of wired to fractals instead of fractal math, instead of random number generators. So it had a unique intelligence to it. But outside of that, using sort of that AI and some different methods, the creator of the AI is Bill Scott, and he's the creator of this modality called brain paint. I don't know if you've heard it. It's a neurofeedback where it's really good for healing addictions and phobias and things. People go all the time to receive treatment, and it's a neurofeedback machine using fractals, and he invented it. Anyways, they get a brain scan data based on, through the machine. You can sort of get this data, and then they've been doing all kinds of cool stuff, plugging it into the AI and getting AI art and AI music. And what they found, this is kind of going into the spooky action at a distance, but what I found fascinating about this whole thing was they would take the brain data from the subject, whoever's looking for treatment. Then they would take that brain data and they would put it through this AI generator for music. Now, depending on the person's mood, the music changes, but it's not
depending on the person's mood when they recorded the brain data. They would record the brain data, and then they would send it through the generator to make music. The music was very upbeat and happy if the subject was in a happy mood at the moment of making the music. They would take the same exact brain data, and if the guy was sad, and put it through the AI generator and make the music, and the music was sort of the sad, darker music. So sort of proving again through this somehow this brain data, which was recorded on such and such day, they recorded the mood and everything of the guy. But now they're doing more experiments after generating in real time, and the music is changing based on the mood of the guy in the moment. And his brain data was recorded weeks before.
So what would the AI generated music be like with the brain scan from Dave Mustaine from Megadeth?
We gotta get Bill to do that experiment. But
but that's or brain scan, or brain scan from Barry Manilow. What
Right.
or, you know what I mean? Would it be a Shania Twain brain scan?
Well, my buddy Zach, he's doing the music for season 3, Zach Myers, and he's in him and Bill are sort of
He's amazing. Zach is amazing.
Oh, you've heard Zach's stuff? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Zach.
I know Zach. Yeah.
So Zach's part of, he's the other half of Bill Scott in this experiment. And he was also saying that they recorded someone, not super musically inclined or anything, but he was just listening to David Bowie on his earphones when he was scanning the data, and they played it back, and they could hear David Bowie's voice in the data, even though the data doesn't have it listening to anything. It's just his brain data. Somehow David's Bowie's voice would show up when they made the music. So it's some crazy stuff that they're playing with when it comes to, and I bring that up because you mentioned AI or quantum computing, and I think we're talking about the same supernatural effects essentially. I think that's why you have so many people demonizing AI, calling it a demon or evil. How could they call it that if it was not of the supernatural of sorts, right? So there is legitimate, discussion around, is AI coming from another dimension, and how does that work, and what's the implications with that? How does that build us up into disclosure and understanding the phenomenon even more? I think it's a bridge.
Just today, I don't know if you saw this press release. I covered it earlier on the news. But some of the biggest names in tech are now calling for artificial intelligence labs to stop training the most powerful AI systems. Yeah, and Elon Musk drafted the letter, got a bunch of signatures on it, and it was in the press release.
So Riz posted something on Twitter about it.
Yeah, that dozens of tech leaders, like dozens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not 12, dozens. And professors, researchers, code writers, and it was published by the Future of Life Institute, which is a nonprofit that Elon runs, right? So he's got the distribution of this letter down and to have it recognized. But the letter is just 2 weeks after OpenAI announced GPT-4, and which is the more powerful version of Chat GPT that we all know about, and what has been running, and that's a chatbot tool, but it does a lot of work for you. And then the company demo from Chat GPT for GPT-4 showed GPT-4 drafting lawsuits. It showed GPT-4 passing standardized exams. It showed GPT-4 building a working website from a sketch.
right? It's like, wait, whoa. And I'm kind of with Elon on this because I think it's a lot like social media, where we've jumped ahead before we've stopped to understand what is really going on. We allowed social media to take off, right, without any cares of how it would affect society, or maybe create angst or fights or trolls or whatever. We
right. We got it all with social media.
We just let it loose on society, on the world, and and whatever happens. Well, we did that. You would think that we learned a lesson, and suddenly to have AI in our search engines now, Google and Bing, and Google's adding it to all of their document stuff, and so is Microsoft. You've got AI in Word now and Excel, and we didn't ask for it; they just did it. I think it's moving too fast, man. I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of innovation, and I love seeing everything that's happening with AI, and especially the kids cheating their homework and all that stuff is awesome. I'd totally be using it to do all my papers.
I said that the other day. Man, kids today, this is a fact. This is a fact. I'm not being a dick here. It's a fact. Kids today understand the internet. We adults don't. Their social world, their friends, their relationships, they embrace the internet. They don't know how to read or write. They don't know. It's all about, the smartphone and the iPad and the internet world and the connect. They get it. You know what else they get? The workarounds. They know.
Totally. If I know the workarounds, and I'm thinking about the 19-year-old or the 16-year-old Reuben at this era, totally. I'd have the whole thing.
My homework would be on time, and it would be more homework than was due.
Exactly. Yeah. Jimmy, so
it was supposed to be, Jimmy, it was supposed to be 5,000 words. You gave me 250,000. You gave me War and Peace. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think using caution, there's nothing that can go wrong with using caution. So putting the brakes on, why not? I mean, we've waited this long for it. A month or two with brakes on is not gonna set us back that much. I think it would be a good thing to put the brakes on and think about the ramifications. And what I'm excited about with the AI is I think this was the conversation I was having with Zach, is like the internet helped open up the minds of humanity to understand our connectedness. I think, before the 90s, there wasn't this oneness type of understanding that everything is interconnected, because we didn't have the unless you were in a spiritual community or studying under Yogananda or something, you didn't really understand these concepts. It was more like, I'm me and I'm doing this and this, and then but the internet showed us how we're interconnected through technology. But what that also does is, because it's like seeing the ships out at sea and not knowing what they were, so you don't see them. But now, because we saw the internet brought us this understanding of how interconnected the world is, so humanity started to open and share this new worldview of interconnectedness. I think AI can do that for ETs. I think it can bridge us to understand that there is this unseen consciousness that can be accessed through the tool of AI. And that then creates the paradigm that this other unseen consciousness does exist, which then we can start seeing the ships again. Same analogy for that. So I think overall it's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, it has to. It is the step in the direction that we need to go in. Right? We just need baby steps. We've all seen 2001: A Space Odyssey. Right? We've all seen what HAL can do.
Totally.
And
So anyway,
That's actually Zach's cover on his book. Let me see if I can find it. He just put it on. I think he just released it today on Amazon. I'll send you. A
yeah,
link.
send it to me. I would love to see it. But if we flip this around though,
Mhm.
and we examine ourselves, and if we picture humanity's evolution of say 10,000 years, I'm pulling a round number up, but let's jump.
Yeah.
We know
Okay.
how far we've come in 100 years, right?
Oh yeah.
In 10,000 years, do we still have these bodies? At that point,
Good question.
AI has taken over, right? And we've embraced it. We work alongside of it and stuff. But do we get rid of sleep and food and disease? Do we put our soul, our consciousness, our brain, our memories, ourselves into a quantum computing brain on the top of an android, right? So, does humanity evolve into something like that? And I would say the short answer is probably yes.
I would say that that's a possibility for a branch in our evolution. I think as many beings that I've interacted with over the years, they many are sort of light beings, or you hear this idea of just they don't even have a physical form. They're just like this glowing ball or something, and it shows up. So it's like consciousness. So
Right.
they've evolved beyond the need for a body, and
Right.
they don't need a container per se, because it's just in the light form it is, in the holographic light reflections. That's information in itself. It doesn't need to be contained in anything.
That's right. That's right. And even and I'm not talking about a robot, R2D2 or no. But it could be something that doesn't need sleep or food or get disease. It could be a replica. It could look like us, right? It could have a brain, but our mind. But I think that we've got to figure out a way to, immortality and these ideas. These have been romantic fantasies for thousands of years. This isn't anything new. And if I'm Elon Musk, if I'm Bill Gates, if I'm somebody that's running a $1 billion Silicon Valley corporation with code writers and geniuses and all of that, you know what I'm thinking about spending my money on? That. Yeah.
Well, but it's also a worldview. So if you flip it around, so just like you just flipped it around with the future and like getting there, what if we flipped around that what we're experiencing right now is actually base reality? Like base reality is the statistics for us. Simulation theory, Riz in his work talks about how it's more likely that what we're experiencing here is not base reality. This is the simulation. This is the dream. This is not infinite in its potentials, but perhaps finite in the experience. And the real infinite versions of us is this light coming from behind the veil, and that can access any part of the universe, not bound by space, time, and physical meat bodies. And we manifest ourselves into this experience to have this limited experience, so then we can take it back to our light bodies. So that's kind of, and if that's the case, you wouldn't want to be here forever. You would want to come here, do your mission, and get the hell out.
And get the hell out. And if when you look at really good science fiction, and some of the brilliant writers out there, the way that they overcome traveling for 10,000 years or 100,000 years on a ship is to have a colony starship that has got a city on it. You've got trees and forests, and you're producing your own food. And 100,000 years from now, it's your great grandkids that are going to arrive on that planet. You're not. Right. And so that's how they overcome that. Well, that's because we're dealing with what we understand and know right now with our own current technology. The way to truly overcome that, put your mind into something that doesn't age, right? And no matter what that form may be, but that's what you would want to overcome. And again, if I'm that tech billionaire dude, that's what I'm trying to figure out. It's not the Philosopher's Stone, right? It's not alchemy. Well, it's not some elixir you're going to drink. No, it's that's
why I think a lot of those efforts. This is just my worldview. Is I see this just based on my experiences and my worldview. But so this meat body Reuben is that's where the funnels down in, and beyond this is this expansive universe that's so great that little Reuben just can't. It's just too big. So I know it exists because I've peered my head through the veil a few times on some ayahuasca journeys and whatnot, and I've seen things, right? So I know it exists, but I can't. And I trust that, I'm here doing my thing, my mission, following my passion, doing all that stuff. And I trust that, when the time's right, I will have access to that information, and that all of my knowledge and essence and experiences and stuff that made me Reuben will be preserved in that bigger hard drive, the collective consciousness cloud. So I'm not so worried about building something to contain it or move my consciousness into a machine or an AI or have it continue, because I trust that the universe is eternal and infinite. And I've seen and experienced the Akashic records. I've experienced grandmother Aya, Pachamama through those experiences. And to me, the search for containing this meat body or making it last longer, it's a noble search. It's a noble cause, and I wouldn't want anybody to not follow their passion to do it. But it's sort of like, it's kind of futile. It's like, okay, you're going there. You really want to put your brain in a box and think it's gonna survive, or you'll have the same experience? Or I just, to me, it feels a little backwards.
Well, stepping into and out of another dimension, and folding space and doing those things where you go from here. I always say Zeta Reticuli because it rolls off the tongue so easily. But going to Zeta Reticuli is just as simple as taking a step, right? You take one step forward and you're there. You're not trying to travel faster than the speed of light. You're bringing Zeta Reticuli here somehow, right? Well, ET would understand that.
Sure.
Fully understand. And so when I had somebody call me, mutual friend of ours, by the way, somebody that is very black and white, somebody that is very pragmatic, man. Okay. It's a mutual friend of ours, but doesn't do drugs, right? Okay. Doesn't drink. Calls me up and says, you're going to love this, Jimmy, I smoked DMT last night and I talked to 2 aliens. They're real. I said, you what? You what? And he said, I said, how long? He goes, 15 minutes. I sat with the 2 of them talking about all kinds of things. I said, so it was your imagination though, right? You were just, no. It was real. and so we talked about it. And I said, would you do it again? No, it was real. We don't understand this mechanism of being able to go to another world, another dimension is real. We can do it. And I was like, and so I said, how real? He's, no, you're not understanding what I'm saying. It was real. It wasn't almost really cool looking, right? And this is something that needs to be studied. ET fully gets this.
Yeah.
Right. They would have to. They're more advanced than we are. They totally understand it. We're getting there, but this is something that needs to be studied.
Absolutely. And it is, the research into psychedelics and entheogens over the past decade, really, 5 years, especially with psilocybin, it's been tremendous. So we are making, finally, now that they're, getting special universities and different research groups are getting special permissions to obtain legally and do the research on Schedule I drugs. It's amazing. We've definitely entered a new paradigm in that research. How it all connects, I think we still have a lot to discover, but I'm just so happy that the research into those paths is going. The ancient shamans, these medicines have been used, in different cultures across the world for centuries. So there is a again, going back to that consciousness connection, whether it's through plant medicines or ET contact experiences or just meditation or breath work or, ice baths or however you want to get there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of modalities to reach this state of mind that allows these experiences to happen.
But psilocybin, hallucinogenics, mm-hmm. I've done all that. That's not what I'm talking about. And I've done enough to know. I never went to another dimension and sat down with ET and had a conversation about the universe. I've never done that. But DMT and ayahuasca, that's another situation altogether.
Those are the big boys, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to be legalizing DMT anytime soon in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, well, it depends. We're all carrying DMT in our pineal gland, so we're all carrying this stuff.
Isn't that the strange thing, right? Yeah. And in our community has been talking about the pineal gland, third eye, right, and the Akashic records, and they're talking about this for a very long time.
Sure.
And here we are, where I can only imagine what somebody like Brian Greene or Michio Kaku or Sean Carroll, any of these brainiac physicist guys out there that know how to think and know how to use algorithms pretty effectively. Yeah. What they would come out of the experience with, right? I think it would really not so much, hey man, this is great. Yeah, I sat and talked to ET. What we need is a better understanding of what the multiverse is, about what 11 dimensions are, what string theory really represents, how small do particles really get, when we talk about the quantum world, how infinitely small does it really go? And or how far into the infinite does it go, I should say, because, infinity is a big number in either direction. But to have a physicist that has a mind that goes in one direction, and then you expose them to this, how they would apply the math to that and try to figure out what's going on.
Well, I think that's where we're going to make the biggest breakthroughs, is when our sort of classically educated scientists start sitting down with the shamans and the seers and the special gifted people that we have all kinds of labels for them, and they start taking them seriously. Of course, a lot of it, they can't because of for different. Not everybody is on a spectrum means they have the special mojo, but many do. And I talk to many inventors and scientists and spiritual people, and I try to bridge those worlds. And when I see them get together, it's amazing, because there is a lot of overlaying in the language, right? It's a different language, but when you break it down to the rawness, these experiences and the sages of the world do have their own language that overlaps with scientific language. Like
it's 100%. It's the same conversation.
Same conversation.
It's the same conversation. When last week. All right, I'll just say this. I've got a stack of books on physics, right? A stack. And I am constantly randomly pulling one out and opening it up and reading a chapter, right? I do it all the time. It's fascinating. And so I did that with Michio Kaku last week. And I forget which book and when it was released. I've got like 5 or 6 of his books. I'll open it up. Here's it. Okay, let's go. Right. And I'm reading it. And I'm thinking to myself, I am reading an ayahuasca ceremony. This guy, and he doesn't even realize it, right? Where he is literally, he's not the only one, telling the world of multiverses and different realities and parallel worlds and the idea of dimensions and how thick those dimensions are that you're going to step through. And weird, not everything is, some dimensions are very narrow, right? Some are microscopically narrow, but things live there, right? Things exist there. And I'm reading, I'm just like, this is a Joe Rogan DMT trip that he's talking about right here.
Yep, exactly.
So it is, Reuben, it's the same language. It's the
same language. Yeah. And that's why I'm excited now that we are entering this conversation, and bridging these worlds, because now we can, all the so-called superstition that was always, everything was labeled that and put into the box, the crazy box, and let's not look at it. Well, those are where all the greatest breakthroughs are going to happen in the next, century. As Nikola Tesla said, right? If you, what's the exact quote? Let me find it. It's something to the fact of when scientists start looking at the supernatural, we'll have more advancements than ever.
Reuben walks the walk. 10 years ago, he comes over to my house. And the story.
It's my first time on your show. That's right.
Yeah. So he's coming over to be on Fade to Black. And he gets dropped off at my house, and he's got a backpack and some luggage. He had like, right. and he, I said, man, what's going on? Nothing. Just got back from the desert. I said, okay, all right. You can spend the night. No, I'm going home. I thought he was going to crash at my place for a couple of weeks.
That's right.
And I go, what were you doing out there? And he goes, dude, ayahuasca ceremony. I said, what? When? It just ended. It was like, what? And I said, tell me about it. And I said, what do you mean? Yeah, man, I was out in the desert for 5 days with a shaman. And wow. I mean, yeah, so Reuben walks the walk, man.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't, it's been a minute since I've been back in the field, but yes, for sure. Nikola Tesla, he's famously said the day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade. And we're already doing it now. We're finally doing it. But I think once we get our Michio Kaku to drink some ayahuasca, and then we'll be going to space.
Should I be? I want to. There's something inside of me that says DMT is okay, right? Ayahuasca and the commitment to that I don't have. I don't have the time or the thing or the right place, the right things, and I'm not going to Ecuador and
right.
and whatever. But DMT sounds like the right thing for me, right? 10 minutes in and out, right? Or whatever it is, right? 20 minutes. And I will get to have the experience. What I'm worried about is my age. Is it something that I should be afraid of?
Your age?
DMT at my age. What if I come back from that parallel world? What if I get stuck with those two aliens sitting on a rock?
Anything's possible, but again, in any type of scenario like that, whether it's ayahuasca or DMT or any mind altering substance, right? I think even in a meditation, what we were doing, just talking about C5s and breath work, it all comes down to intention. And, and so I think if you go in with the right intention, supervision, obviously, always make sure set and setting, Terrence McKenna, that's his favorite, his best advice is set and setting. And I think you'll be fine. I think it's just about ultimately intention, set and setting, and discernment and due diligence, especially in this day and age of, many of our spiritual circles, ayahuasca or DMT or any of this stuff, it's sort of dubbed the miracle cure. And in many ways it can be, but there's so much misuse these days of these entheogens and sort
it's
of.
Not a party drug. See, that's the thing.
It's definitely not a party drug, and it's definitely not a something that you can just, there's a lot of fly-by-night shamans that have been down to Peru and hung out with the shamans for a month or whatever, and then they think they're shamans, and some of them may well be, but
right.
Again, there's a responsibility that comes with that work. I mean, and I've heard horror stories, especially in California, where people have gone into ceremonies thinking they were getting this supervision and healing, and then the so-called shaman just leaves them and just doesn't know what to.
That scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I've read the stories. The 6 or 8 fraternity brothers, on a plane flying down to Peru. Woohoo!
Right.
We're gonna go do it up, man. We're gonna go do it. No, that's that. She will make sure you have a bad experience.
yes, she will.
That is. Why are you here? I'm here to party. Oh, okay.
We got something to show you then. Yes.
You're about to get slapped. But the point to all of this is that there is an infinite amount of stuff to the left and to our right. It's to the infinite. It's to the infinite. So when we talk about quantum computers and qubits, or other dimensions, or the multiverse, and that the probability of you doing something different exist. There are an infinite amount of Reuben Langdons to my right. Every version of you that could be does exist.
Yep.
Right. And so to access that, I'm certainly ET understands that. But we don't. We are just now. I am so impressed with the human brain that we can take things to 10 digits and figure it out. Right. That's 20 digits and figure it out. That's serious math. And that's what our brain can do. And we think about things at that level today, right? It's insane that we can do that. But if we are going to jump into this other side and grasp what quantum physics is teaching us today, I think the ancients were already there. And
sure.
And let me ask you this. I think it's very important. The recipe, I don't want to know the recipe, but the recipe and the components of ayahuasca and how that is activated is complex. That is like real chemistry. Well,
it's not that complex. It's just rare. It's rare.
But my point is, 1,000 years ago, to come up with, well, the root of this, and then this combines in your stomach. And then when this happens, then this will allow the acceptance of this. And then
Sure.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That does not come from an uneducated mindset. It's a very, very, very serious, complex thing, and it's not a coincidence. You're not just mixing tree roots together one day and ingesting everything to see what you can activate, which that is what is already in your body. That's crazy to me.
Well, the legend is it's like 5,000 years ago was the plants themselves, the spirit of the plants, told the Ioskera, the shaman, which plants to take and to do the mixture and cook it at such lengths. So it was almost like the plants knew that there was an intelligence in the plants, and that's what spoke to the shaman, is the way the shaman describes it, or the Ioskeras of the Amazon. So again, it's kind of like that, the seeing the boats on the horizon kind of thing. It's, what comes first, chicken or the egg? You get told by the.
I don't question that story.
Yeah.
I don't think it's mythology. I don't think it's folklore. I don't.
No, it's all the tribes swear on that story.
Now, can you describe? You said queen earlier. Can you describe her to us?
Queen? You mean grandmother?
Yeah, grandmother. I said queen.
Pachamama. She could be a queen. So my understanding, after interacting with her several times, is Mother Gaia is her own consciousness. She's her own, we see her as a planet, but imagine all aspects, including humanity. But humanity is not the only thing on this planet. We have trees, we have animals, insects, aliens, in-earth beings. Who knows what's all out there? But the entire collective consciousness and all of the individual and collective species and beings, plants, animals, rocks, all of it has its own unique intelligence. But all of that combined makes this giant consciousness, Mother Earth. We call her Mother Earth. It's interesting how in our culture we still associate her as a mother. She's giving birth to all of her children, all of us life. And even in the indigenous cultures in Central and South America, they also have that mama. They call her Pachamama, our great grandmother, because she's wise. And has all of this knowledge and information. And when we ingest this, the medicine, then we make a more direct connection to her, and she can bring us through, because she's also a multi-dimensional being. We only see one aspect of her, this physical, aspect, but she's a seventh density being, told to me by Ardif and Rob Gauthier, who you've had on the show. She's a seventh density being, and has interactions with other ET civilizations all the time. She's part of a galactic council, that consciousness, so we can interact with her through this medicine, and then she shows us, at least for me in my experience, she shows me how certain actions or certain paths I've taken over my life has led to certain circumstances, and how certain traumas that I may be hanging on to, what sort of perspective shifts that I might be able to do in my waking life can help resolve those, so I'm no longer hanging on to those traumas. Because typically those traumas show up as if in the beginning as sort of an emotional pain, but they do manifest themselves as physical pain. Like a torn ACL or a bum knee, or these are physical injuries that I got from stunts. But grandmother has showed me the reason they actually happened. There is that physical accident thing that happened, but the whole reason the physical accident thing happened was because of an emotional issue that I still was not processing fully. So therefore, the universe, grandmother, including, created a situation where I had an injury, an accident, or whatever you want to call it, a synchronicity. And then in that healing of that, in that elongated time where I had to sit out and not be a stuntman for, several months or whatever it was while I had to heal, then that was sort of my time out for not processing my emotions. So there you go. You have to process it. And even then I didn't get the lesson until I got, until I had those ceremonies and I was able to make those connections. So I know that's a long-winded answer, but
no, that's so intensely interesting. Do you get to ask questions?
Yeah, all the time. I go in with questions. I have a list.
What's the meaning of life? Did you get that one?
I don't think I asked that to her directly. I think
that's got to be number one, man. That's got to be number one.
Well, it's in it, but so I would phrase the question, because I already know the meaning to life is an individual experience. Everybody's meaning is going to be different.
No, it's not. That's not the meaning of life.
They'll overlap.
The meaning of life is Van Halen and really good Chinese food.
Like I said, it's going to be an individual experience for everybody.
But yeah, okay. So write that down next time. I want to know what her answer is. It's not going to be your answer. She's smarter than you. Yeah, it's not going to be your answer. It's not going to be mine. Wouldn't that be funny? It's not Van Halen, Reuben. It's Elvis. You got it all wrong.
Since we're on the subject, actually, I want to share this and why and how this is going to lead to the cruise.
Nice segue. Well done. Well played.
So was this my last? So second to last ayahuasca experience. This was like in 2019, I want to say. Yeah, maybe 19. So I had my question, my main question, my main intention for the journey was, grandmother, show me the history of the human history, the true human history. I'm ready. Show it to me. I can handle it. So, we, in the ceremony, we do our thing. I drink my medicine. I'm sitting down and it's starting to come on, and I'm starting to see stars, and they're starting to come into view. And now it looks like I'm traveling through space. And I'm like, yes, okay, here we go. I'm going to get to the answers and figure out the true history of humanity. And then I feel like I'm flying through space and I'm going really fast. And then here it comes. And then a big metal door just goes like a cartoon, right? And I'm like, what? What does that mean? And I asked that, what does that mean? You're not ready to know this now. There is not a one-off answer. You have to experience it. And I'm like, what? Come on. All right. So I had to give up for that. I had to shift my intention. I don't remember what I did, but after that, shortly after that, I stumbled upon this skull project that I keep talking about every time. I'm still working on it 4 years later. But
you talked to 4 years ago. Reuben goes, so Jimmy, man, I'm doing this thing. I want you involved. And dude, it's crystal skulls. You're all about the crystal skulls, Jimmy. And dude, that was 4 years ago.
I know, it's crazy. It's turned into a 13 episode series. It's huge.
I'm still waiting for my contract. Maybe it's buried in the email. But okay,
we got to raise some money. But it's happening. I mean, I'm getting pieces.
The ayahuasca ceremony.
Well, essentially, 4 years later now, the whole journey makes sense, because if whatever grandmother told me at that time, I may have had these preconceived ideas of what the history of the true human history was, and I wouldn't have this beautiful journey that I've been on, that now I've been filming, and I get to tell through this series on what our true human history is all about.
I'm going to tell grandmother that was a cop-out. That was a cop-out. That's a cop-out.
Well, and my panel on the cruise is all about ancient history and new knowledge and discovering the different things. So anyways, going to Atlantis and Lemuria stuff. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah. I can't wait for that. The more you brought up Gaia, and we're at the end of the show, but I've got to squeeze this in.
so many of us, and
Sure.
you can look, this is a fact. It's like 95% of the world has never been 10 miles away from their home, right? It's like some crazy stat, right?
Wow.
It's like, and I'm exaggerating somewhat,
Okay.
but
Still.
but they don't experience the world. And I wonder how many people in the United States, people talk about traveling and vacations all the time. How many people in the United States have actually left the United States? Hawaii doesn't count, right? Key West doesn't count, right? It's right out. But how many have actually left? Once you go out and explore the world and see you really start to comprehend and understand that this planet is a living, breathing, single entity. It's crazy. It's to see and experience that. But this planet truly is a one thing, and somehow we've got to break down the barriers. And I know I sound like the friggin' Dalai Lama or something, and I don't.
That's good.
No, I'm a rebel, man. I'll punch somebody in the throat in a second. But
and then you'll hug them right after.
Yeah. Then I'll hug. I don't want to come across that way. I don't want to come across like I wear bell bottoms and smell like patchouli. I don't want to be that guy, and I'm not that guy. But we have to figure out a way to quit friggin' killing each other and these differences, because we're all the same. We are all the same, and it's just sad.
That's it. That's how we figure it out. I think you just figured it out. Once it's just coming to the realization that we are all one, that we are all interconnected. We all can hold our individual uniqueness and honor that. And then we can all, be connected at the same time. Just because we're different than somebody doesn't mean we don't have to be connected to them.
No, it is to see. If you go to another city here in the United States, you go from LA to Nashville, and you see, you get it. It's Nashville, it's Chicago, it's Miami, it's not LA. And people have a different way of doing things, but we're still all humans, right? And just take it another step further, and just go, and even if you do it just once, and you see how small this planet really gets, man, it's just something that is very beautiful. And we've got to figure out a way, man. I don't know how we're going to do it. You still want to be able to punch somebody in the throat, though.
If somebody disrespects you, absolutely.
Yeah, you don't want to give that up. You don't want to give it all up.
No. There's not giving that up. But for me, I moved to Japan at the age of 19, and it was the best thing I ever did. It immediately changed my worldview. I got to see things through a different culture. See the world through a different lens, different culture lens, learning a new language. You're right. Traveling does really help open your mind and your heart to.
It does. It really does.
To see the world. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not getting soft. Don't anybody think I'm getting soft. But how I have listened. I've watched you and listened to you speak Japanese with a Japanese person, right? Somebody that'll call you on your BS if you're not, and where you've had these beautiful conversations. Going back, it's such a beautiful language to listen to. I love it. But you didn't. It's not like you were born into a Japanese family. No. How difficult was it to learn Japanese at your level? I mean, you are a conversational. You're Japanese, man.
Yeah. That's what my wife would say too. Let's see. I think I was unique because I was so driven at a young age. Even when I remember I got kind of weird looks because my local high school didn't offer Japanese. They only offered Spanish or French. And I was so hell-bent on learning Japanese that even as a junior in high school, I was able to sign up at the local community college for a Japanese class. And the professor was like, "You're still in high school, but okay, whatever. Go ahead. You pay the money and you can join the class." So I was devoted. I had started learning on my own. After the class, I studied until I got to Japan, and then I was pretty fluent within about 2 years. I could get along pretty good. But living there for almost 5 years, and continuing to go back and forth through business and now family.
Yeah, of course. I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, "Go, Reuben!" Holy crap, man! This is like, and to have, I think you ran subtitles, right? Didn't you run subtitles of?
On the show, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I was like, wow, that was very impressive, man. I can't wait to see you next week. You're just a good friend. I love you to death. Just continue the research. Get this crystal skull thing done. I've been very excited about this for a very long time. And now all of your websites, I've got everything up. We've got, of course, ReubenLangdon.com. We've got citizenhearing.org. That is up.
Yep.
And Interview with E.D, Extra Dimensionals. And is there anything else where somebody?
Yeah, we have. I actually just started a new membership platform on interviewwithed.org, and it's pretty awesome. We're doing weekly interviews with challengers, just like the show, but we're doing it on Zoom calls, and we're allowing members to interact. So it's not just me answering the questions. We get to kind of get some new blood in there, asking some good stuff. And it's fun. We're building a nice little community, and we get to be strange and weird, and not have to worry about the rest of the world judging us.
Man, I love that. All right. So interview with Ed, interviewwithED.org. And the links are below, everybody. Reuben, safe travels to the ship, and I will see you on the open ocean, my friend.
All right. Likewise. Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
The best. Reuben Langdon, everybody. And this is going to wrap up our week here on Fade to Black. I've got the Parapod Festival this weekend. So I've got to prepare for that and get ready to go tomorrow night. So no show tomorrow night. I want everybody to have a great, safe, fun, amazing weekend. I will be doing some live streaming and some other stuff from the Parapod Festival. And if you would like to attend, the links to it, it's in Valencia, California. The links to all of the information that you need are below. It's Friday and Saturday night this weekend. So there you go. Everybody have a great weekend. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. And it cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black of the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll see everybody on Monday. Until then, be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.